Good day, everybody. I hope that you are well. I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Once we've logged on to, sorry, so we are going to be doing our grade 7 English lesson on adjectives. And before we do so, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username, as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts. We're doing grade 7. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of adjectives. All right, so our chapter is adjectives. Our subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 7. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of adjectives is to identify adjectives, and we're going to choose adjectives. So we're going to identify adjectives and we're going to choose adjectives. All right. So when it comes to an adjective, right? An adjective is a word that describes, modifies a noun or a pronoun. So we said an adjective is a word that either describes or it modifies a noun or pronoun. Remember, a pronoun takes the place of a noun. So a noun, you'll have your either the direct name of a person, or you can basically name different things, places, people, animals, things. And a pronoun takes the place of the noun. If we were to look at an example, right, of an adjective that describes or modifies a noun or pronoun. And if we were to basically look at an example of adjectives, right? It says the faded brown belt hung over the back of the chair. All right. And if we were to identify our adjective within that sentence, the faded brown belt hung over the back of the chair. And if we were to identify the word or words that describe or modifies that noun, we can say either just brown belt, or we can say faded belt or faded brown belt. All right, so you can either say the brown belt or faded belt, or we can basically just use both of that words and say faded brown belt because that basically tells us more about the noun. All right, the next one says Robbie carried several books to the attic. So Robbie carried several books to the attic. We need to choose a word that describes or modifies our noun. And if we were to choose the correct option, we can say several books. All right, several books. And when it comes to adjectives, right, then we have words like this and that and those and these. So this, that, those, and these are adjectives. And when they modify a noun or pronoun, so they are adjectives when they modify a noun or a pronoun. And we call them, we call this, that, those, these demonstrative adjectives. All right. So now we're going on to an activity, right? Where I think they're going to use demonstrative nouns. And it says, no, I haven't seen that document. No, I haven't seen that document. All right. And if we were to identify our adjectives, we can say, no, I haven't seen that documentary. The next one says, these photos are from our trip to Tahiti. So these photos are from our trip to Tahiti. All right. And remember, we said an adjective, it describes or modifies a noun, or it describes or modifies a pronoun. An adjective can basically appear before or after the word that it modifies. So an adjective can appear before, or it can even appear after a word that it modifies. So an adjective, it appears either before or after the noun that it modifies. If we look at an example, it says Nell planted the fragile seedlings tenderly. It says, now planted the fragile seedling tenderly. All right. And if we look at that sentence, right, that says, now planted the fragile seedling tenderly. So if we were to identify our verb, so the if we were to identify our adjective within that sentence, then we can say fragile. Now planted the fragile seed tenderly. Now, when it also comes to adjectives, right? Then adjectives that compare, they come after the word they describe or so adjectives that come after the word that they describe, right? Which is your noun, your pronoun. And adjectives that comes after the word that they describe, we say that they're usually connected by a linking verb, like to be, to seem, to appear, or to even look. And if we were looking at an example of that, and it says, he seemed eager for the mail to arrive. So we see that when it comes to adjectives that compare, or that comes after the word that they describe, then it is usually connected by a linking verb. And the linking verbs are words like to be, to seem, to appear, or to look. All right. So we're going on to aplusstudents.ca and we're going to identify adjectives as well as choose the adjectives. But before we do so, we said an adjective, it is a word that describes, modifies the noun or pronoun. All right. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca and we are going to identify adjectives and we're going to choose adjectives. We need to select our adjectives. And before we do, we said an adjective describes or modifies a noun. An adjective can either come before or after the noun or the pronoun it basically describes or modifies. All right. All right. So now we're going to our test where we are going to select an adjective. And remember, don't choose words like a, an, or the. That is not an adjective. So we need to select the one article. It says the wind, sorry, howled as it swept through the trees in the yard. A winter storm was on the way. And if we were to choose the correct one, is it option one, winter, or option two, wind? All right. And if we were to choose the one adjective within that picture or within that sentences, is it winter, option one, or wind, option two? All right. And if we were to choose the correct option, and if we were to choose the adjective, we can say winter is our one adjective that describes a noun within that sentence. We need to select one adjective. As we ambled along the moonlit path, we listened to the symphony of crickets in the woods around us. So we need to identify our adjective that describes the noun or the pronoun, tells us more about the noun or the pronoun. So we need to select that one adjective within the sentence. So as we ambled along the moonlit path, we listened to the symphony of crickets in the woods around us. So the first one is ambled and moonlit. And if we were to select the adjective, right? The word that describes or modifies the noun, and then option two is correct, which is moonlit. The next one is we need to select the two adjectives. We need to select two adjectives. It says option one, Dalton and Michelle recently purchased a beautiful lakefront home on the shore of Lake Michigan. And it says Dalton and Michelle recently purchased a beautiful Lakefront home on the shore of Michigan. So is it beautiful in Lakefront or is it recently Lake Michigan? And if we were to choose our two adjectives, right? We can say it's beautiful and it's lakefront. Yes, because remember, beautiful or tells us about the home. Lakefront, it also tells us about the home with a beautiful lakefront in front of the home. So we need to select the two adjectives. It says dogs can detect sound at a higher frequency than humans. Therefore, they hear high pitched noises that we can't. So we need to select two adjectives. Is it higher or higher pitched? Humans or higher pitched? And if we were to choose the two adjectives that basically describes, modifies a noun, all right. And if we were to choose our correct option, then option one is our adjective. We need to select one adjective. It says don't select words like a, and, or the. Those are articles. Pedro gaped in disbelief when he saw that there had been a last minute change to the schedule and he had missed the flight. And if we were to select the one adjective, is it one last minute change or last minute change? A last minute change or last minute change? Pedro gaped in disbelief when he saw that there had been a last minute change. And the reason why we chose last minute change instead of a last minute change, because remember we said don't use a, and, or the to describe or to modify the noun. All right, we need to select two adjectives. It says there are numerous economic consequences of drought. For example, farmers may lose money when crops die and the cost of food may increase. So we need to select our two adjectives. Is it numerous and of drought, or is it numerous economic? So we need to select two adjectives. And if we were to select the adjectives, and option two is correct. And remember, before we continue, we said an adjective, it describes or modifies a noun or pronoun. Remember, the pronoun takes the place of the noun. And when it comes to, let's say, our adjectives, right, then we need to, for example, select an adjective within a sentence, but we do not use words like a, and, or the in front of it in order to show that we are now basically describing a noun or a pronoun. All right. So when it comes to adjectives also, right? Then adjectives, we said it is words that tells us more about a noun or describes a noun or modifies a noun. And sometimes we can basically use different adjectives to describe one noun, right? For example, like in our test that we did earlier on, where we said the faded brown belt. So which means that the belt was being described, but was being described as faded or brown, right? For example, she gave me long red silk roses, which means that long, red, and silk, it basically describes or modifies the roses. Sorry. So when it comes to adjectives, right, there is different ways in which we can also describe, let's say, different words or let's say nouns in general by using more than one adjective to describe one noun. And we made an example where we said that it can, for example, you can maybe say it's a long, red, silky, whatever. So all three of those words are adjective that describes the roses, right? So today we're not going to look at this adjective or the table or the order of adjectives because then it's going to just be a quick thing. So, but for now, we're just going to be talking about the adjective and how you can basically have more than one adjective describing a noun or a pronoun, keeping in mind a pronoun takes the place of a noun. But in our next lesson, when we do continue with adjectives, when we have more than one word to describe our noun, then they use a grid like the one you see on the screen. Then a grid like the one that you see on the screen is being used, and that is basically um, how the adjectives go in order. It goes in the order of either article, opinion, size, shape, age, color, origin, material, brick, purpose of qualifier, or and then the noun. So if we look at she gave me long red silk roses, then if we were to use our grid that we see on the tape on the screen, then long, I think that is either shape or size. Then red is color, will go under color. And then silk, I'm sure it should be probably material. And then you have your noun. All right. So this is now the end of our lesson on adjectives. We said adjectives are words that describes or modifies a noun. It tells us more about a noun or a pronoun. And we had to basically identify adjectives within different sentences. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And I really hope that you're going to have a good day further. Goodbye. All right. So that's the end of our lessons. Goodbye. Till next time.